Cabin Fever Crochet with me, Helene, for today's review of Furls' new and reimagined Streamline metal hooks. I have two different ones I'm going to compare to their Odyssey, which sadly has been discontinued, and their regular Furls resin, along with various samples I have over here. Gave these hooks a real test in different types of yarn and fibers to see how they would act. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the hooks, then go over the specifications, some details on that, and then I'll do a little demo for you also. All right, so I ordered these the day after Thanksgiving here in the United States. It took about 2 weeks or so to get here because they had Cyber Monday really busy. And then I've been playing with them for about the last week and a half to give them a really good test. So I have two different sizes. The I 5.5 millimeter, which I've used the most, and then I purchased another and one size down, the H 5 millimeter. I wanted to get two so I could compare to consistency on two different hooks. So they've been fine-tuned, and then they came out with their latest, which I presume is going to be their regular version of it. And they just wanted to make sure that it was as precision as they can get it with the new supplier that they are working with, because the Odyssey, their supplier, had retired. And so I'm going to tell you some of the differences between the two. And also they came with, I received one microfiber cloth because they are 100% solid aluminum, and they're going to pick up, you can already see some of the smudges, oils from my hands. And as far as care instructions, it does say to wash your hands first, avoid using lotions to keep the polish on them. And I'm a big lotion person. And I do, before I crochet, I try to let the lotion soak into my hands first because they tend to dry out working with the yarn a lot, and I like lotion anyway. So what I did is I put my lotion on, I let it soak in a few, and then I got a damp paper towel and I just really wiped the pads of my fingers off first, and maybe even a little bit where the spot where my crochet hook hits, and then dried them pretty good. And that seemed to help. They're not as tacky or oily, but you know, depending on whether they have drier or more oily skin, I mean, I leave fingerprints on everything regardless. And the first thing I noticed on the box says the Furls on one end, and then wait, open other end. Well, I couldn't get one of the other ends open at first, so me, rebel here, rule breaker, I went ahead and opened it anyway because I wanted to get in this box, see what it was about. So if you have trouble opening one end, then just be careful sliding it out. And I'm thinking because the weight of it, of the hook, is at this end, and rather than a little more control coming at the thinner, lighter end, because at the back end it just really does come out fast. So be careful of that. And they do have some weight to them. They even have a little more weight than the Odyssey. And they have the most weight by far of all the Furls hooks that I've used and tried over the last 5 years. Now on Furls' website, it says that this metal are 2.1 to 2.4 ounces, depending on size, of course. I have a postal scale, and I weighed mine, and mine came in at 1.7. And then once I got used to this, it doesn't feel so heavy because of the way it just rests so nicely in my hand and hangs out there. And as with the Odyssey, the metal, the weight of it in the back end, the barrel, the handle, gives it a bit of a forward propelled motion, which I find is similar, pretty much the same with the Swirls metal. So the hook does more of the work for you than having to use your hand as much, because it just goes in and it glides very nicely. But it will take some getting used to, especially if you're used to a super light hook, a plastic hook that you use, or whatever you're using out in the marketplace. Size-wise, length, they are the same at 6.75 inches. All right, and it is definitely longer than the Odyssey. You can see that by, I would say, like a good ½ inch. And at the widest point, 17 millimeters around, or equivalent to 1.67 inches. So 0.67 is between a ½ and 3/4 inches. And did I see that these are solid polished aluminum, which I missed reading when I ordered them. When I got them, because I was so surprised they were heavy, because I thought they were going to be a little bit lighter, like the resin, or like a traditional metal hook. Of course, I knew they'd be heavier because they are thicker and bigger, but I was surprised. But it was easy getting used to. What I really like about the Swirls metal compared to the Odyssey is it's one solid piece, so you don't have to worry about the neck of the hook, this whole portion, getting loose and disconnecting from the handle, because it's a solid piece. And there are some differences besides the length, which for me, now comparing the two, and again, I have long hands. I have pretty long hands, all right? So say this is 6.75 inches from the tip of my middle finger. It goes all the way to the base of the palm of my hand. You can see that. There's the crease of my wrist and the tip of my middle finger. So there's a little frame of reference there for you. Oh, and another thing you're probably wondering, okay, the letters and numbers are on here, and they are not stamped. They are actually etched into the metal itself, okay, nicely etched into the metal. So it has a letter H, 5.0 mm for millimeter, and the name Furls, and I can feel that in there. It is done quite nicely. They're a little bit light. It's white, but it's still on there, so at least you have it, which I thought was really good. One thing is, because this is all metal, it's not going to be as warm in your hand as, say, a wood hook or a resin, or even to the touch at first. When I first grabbed it, the Odyssey felt a little warmer, but this warms up surprisingly pretty quickly. Well, not so surprisingly, because aluminum is a conductive metal in that way, because a lot of pots and pans have an aluminum core or aluminum base, which heats up, and then you get that even heating temperature surface. And so I think the same principle probably applies once you get some friction going, and then the natural heat from your hand, it warms up where it's comfortable. Another thing with the care instructions, it does recommend keeping it in the box that they came in, or in a tray or something separate. And I was in a hurry and I made a mistake, and I just grabbed these so my dog wouldn't get to them or fall off the table or whatever. And I grabbed them all together like that, and then I set them elsewhere. And just from doing that, and maybe working with them, I mean, I don't think I had a ring on this finger that day, but if you do, wear a ring on the hand that you're working with. Yeah, you might want to take that off while you are crocheting, because if you're worried about it or not. I do notice that I now have some surface scratches, not bad, but where I did not have them when it came. This was very high polished, and now it's smudgy, has a few surface scratches, which, I mean, it's all, well and good to keep them as beautiful as possible, because it really is beauty meets function, but for me, bottom line is it's still a tool. You know, and I'm going to use it as intended. I will take care of it as I do with everything, but I'm not going to really baby it. I'm going to use it. So I have the two, or the three rather, all in the same size. And again, I did the same for the H. There's the H Odyssey, there's the H Swirls. And I didn't want to bring out a bunch of other types of hooks because I'm just going to compare within the same Furls family. Okay, so now let's take a look. There's the Odyssey with this portion the head, the neck, and or is that's the neck, that's the shaft, I guess. So the shaft, the neck, the head, the handle or barrel. You can hear my voice. This has been going on a month. I'm still not 100% well, but I'm getting there, all right? And today I'm actually testing out a new camera, my first time using it. So hopefully the audio and everything is really good. This portion here, you can see it's a little bit shorter from top to bottom. Width is about the same. And as far as the hook, to me, the Odyssey is more angled, and it's a little bit sharper, more depth going up into the head of it. All right, this is more inline to me. Like the inline tend to be just straight going up the sides, and where the tapered, they curve in a little bit. And so this is a good balance between the two, and one nice feature of the inline is that you get really even stitch definition. And as far as the tip goes, it's not real pointy. It's a little more on the rounded side, but I was able to get into the stitches very easily, and I'll show you the different yarns that I used. All right, so then now let's bring out the Swirls resin. Now the resin, the flat portion, is even longer. And my question, well, how much surface area of crocheting does that give me? Well, you've got this shaft portion here, pretty long. So if you're doing stitches where you have to wrap the yarn around multiple times, you have plenty of room to work on the Streamline metal. All right, and then here is the Swirls resin, and you can see how much longer the head is and how much pointier. I really like the resin. I have several in different sizes, and I like them very much, especially if you need something pointy to really poke into a stitch. But for me, and might not be your experience, but for me, does not work as well with every yarn type. Yarn that is more splitty, I have a harder time with this. It tends to get hung up on this sometimes, okay? But for the Odyssey, which I have loved, well, that has never been an issue because metal, it just seems to work as more of a, I guess I would say, more of a universal type of hook. And of course, it's going to vary between the brand and the style, whether it's the more inline, or the sides are less tapered, or it's more tapered. And these hooks, just like all of Furls hooks, they are ergonomically designed and to fit in your hand, reducing the strain and fatigue that comes from repetitive hand motion. And they have put a lot of design and work and thought into these to fit just about, it says, any hand type. And whether you hold your hook like a pencil, okay, like this, or a knife, like I do, I think this would work just as well either or, and that is going to depend on your personal comfort, what you like working with. So what I might like may vary for you, and not only within the Furls line of hooks, but any hook that there is on the market. So this is just my take and opinion on it. All right, so don't take it as the end all and be all. You just have to test them out yourself. And they do have a very good return policy. One thing I've found with their customer service is you do have to have a little extra patience with that, but they do honor their product and return policy. But holding it here like a pencil, it rests very comfortably in the crook of my hand between my thumb and forefinger. So even if I'm just working with it like this, it's very comfortable. And again, like I said, the hook, because of the length and the weight, it's so well balanced. I enjoyed working with this so much. It just glided through the yarn, didn't get hung up. And one thing I noticed at first, where this is polished, it does leave some what appears to be ridges from the machine. But it does not affect the crocheting whatsoever. And I tried about 5 different types of yarn. And I purposely tested more challenging yarns. This first one that you saw, this is the Lion Brand Shawl and a Cake discontinued yarn, but I'm sure many of you out there still maybe have a good stash of that. This is a type of yarn that can catch on itself, and because it is roving, goes from thicker to thin, has a lot of halo and fuzz, it can get hung up on certain types of hooks. And I worked up pretty good swatch of this. This is not one of my patterns. I do not think it's on Lion Brand's website anymore, but I have a tutorial for it. The South Bay Shawl or Shawlette. I'll leave the link below in the drop-down description section. So this yarn calls for a J-hook, which I have personally never used in the patterns, stitches that I've used it for. But I typically go with, say, an H-hook for this pattern, a 5mm, and it just worked so well. And going into some of these stitches where it can be a little bit difficult with this yarn, I had no issue with it. I just really enjoyed working with it. Now I tend to place my finger more on the neck, the shaft, whatever this part is, the neck of the hook. Yeah, working into some of these stitches, especially like the top of the turning chain 3, poking it in, this just glided right through, all right? So there's my sample here. I also tested it on Lion Brand. It looks like I have a bunch of Lion Brand yarn here. Lion Brand Trubu, which is a bamboo yarn, and that is very slippery and slick and can be a little more fiddly to work with, and it was just great. I absolutely loved this hook for it so much. So again, I used the H hook for it, and on this I just worked just simple stitches, double crochets and so forth. Oops, sorry about that. That's my cat trying to bust in the house. He's going to have to wait because I know he's going to jump right on this table. But yeah, you can just see how this glides through this yarn. Wonderful. Perfect for that. This Kobu yarn, which is cotton bamboo, this can be pretty splitty yarn. Here we go. I have this love, drive me nuts relationship with this yarn. I love the end result, but oh man, it can be really temperamental to work with. And it's real curly because I have practiced and taken it out multiple times, which made it kind of even more challenging to work with. And again, it just worked great. I could just fly along with this. I'm sitting at a bit of an odd angle here at the table, and still I just like how balanced, and it just hangs out, just lays here in my hand and does so much of the work for me. And you could see maybe right there it kind of split and snagged up a little bit. Well, that's just how this yarn is, but I was able to back out very easily and really having less issues with this hook. And then last up, this is the Caron Blossom Cakes. Love this yarn. And now here's with the I 5.5 millimeter hook. All right, I'm just going to do, that's just a simple little magic circle. I just do a quick little chain up 3, because I haven't, this is the first time now testing it in this yarn, which is a combination of cotton acrylic, 61% cotton and 39 acrylic, to where it's kind of like chainette, and it's fuzzy, so I think where some of the fiber might have been blown inside, it's a little bit tubular there. I'm not sure if that's the process. It looks like to me, and you get this really, really nice soft halo. I'm going to go right back into that same stitch. Yeah, really, really nice with this yarn. Yeah, I could easily go up, I think, to a J 6 millimeter hook on this yarn. And in case you're wondering the color, this one is Radiant Rainbow. Okay, so there you go. So this one, you can really see the stitch definition on it, hopefully pretty well. Hopefully you can. Yeah, I think these are just great. I'm really happy with them. And yeah, like I said, that little bit of, I don't even want to call it etching, but just where the machine polished it, kind of helps give a little bit of a slight grip, more control coming off the yarn. But I don't notice any drag from that whatsoever. Just really nice. Real happy with these. So I'm glad I gave them a try. And I like that their products are made right here in the good old USA. Okay, oh, and price-wise, I did not give you the price on these. They are $26 each. In my opinion, well worth it. You know, hand health. Without hand health, there'd be no crocheting. So take care of your hands and your overall health, my friends. All right, well, that is it for today. I hope, as always, you'll come back again next time. And if you would, please consider subscribing, and remember to click that notification bell for reminders of all my future uploads. Your thumbs up and your comments are so appreciated. As always, love your comments. Take good care, everyone, and I will see you soon.